Welcome back to the RPGMaker MV tutorial series level 2. So, we've built our map, we've placed some non-player characters, villagers and townspeople and the like, and we've worked out how to do custom characters, and now let's get on to the fun stuff, monsters and treasure. Let's make a game. So here we are back in RPGMaker MV, and we've put our starting position right back at the beginning in the fishing village where we're going to start off. Now if you recall, we had a princess who gave us some money. That's a little bit silly, so let's just get rid of her. And let's get a treasure box instead. So if you recall from level 1, setting up a treasure chest is super simple. You just simply go right click, quick event creation, treasure. We can give ourselves 500 gold. We can Control C, and I can Control V and paste a few of those around the village. So there gives it a little bit of interesting factor. We can just go around stealing people's treasure. Now if we test that, you can see that it should immediately work. There's 500G, and our gold has gone up by 500. Fantastic. So just how does a treasure chest work exactly? Let's have a look. So here we are in the chest. What they do is they play a sound effect. It sets a movement route. It controls self switch, changes gold, and then shows a message saying you found gold. Now, what does this movement route mean? Well, let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. The chest image is coming from chest here. And this chest image, it sounds a bit incongruous, but this is actually downwards facing. So this is the chest looking down, that's the chest looking left, that's the chest looking right, and that is the chest looking up. If you compared that to our people characters, you can see exactly what we mean. So, what does this mean when you do the animation? So if we open up the movement route, we can see that the first thing that happens is direction fix off. What is direction fix? Well, let's have a look at that. The easiest way to demonstrate this is just to compare it with a person. So if you recall, a person has that's looking down, and then we've got left, right, and up. So she's not fixed in direction. If we talk to her from the left, she turns to face us. And if we turn to her, then she turns up to face us. Okay. Now, if I set up a brand new chest, and I get the chest to imagine that it is a person talking to us, say hello. And we choose the chest character. Okay, and it's not direction fixed. Click OK. I can go and talk to this chest. It says hello. That's facing down. Now it's facing to the left. It's facing up. And that's facing right. So it will automatically turn to face the character, depending on which direction you're coming from. So obviously, for inanimate objects, you don't want them. You want them to not move, depending on which way you approach it from, and not change direction to face the character. And that's why direction fix is on. And when you want to animate it, you need to switch direction fix off, or else the animation won't play out. Now we saw turn left, turn right, so that was the same as in our little sample there. We saw turn left, turn right, and this is turn up. Now in the movement route they only have turn left and turn right, but you could easily add in turn up, wait 3 frames. And that wouldn't affect it because the next thing that happens is it sets self switch A on, changes the gold and gives you 500 gold. And then it switches to page 2, that's self switch A, page 2. And here you can see that page 2 is actually the upwards facing sprite. So let's just see if turn up has made any changes to our chest here. Nothing, you can see it's exactly the same. Okay, so what if we want to give it a different image? So let's give this one a wooden box type look. We can see it's got exactly the same 1, 2, 3, 4. That's facing down, facing left, facing right, facing up. So we can do the same process, and we can choose a sound effect. So let's find a good sound effect. Play sound effect. So we can tap C to get to the chest, and there's a different chest there. Or we could tap O to look for an open kind of sound, for example. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Right, now if we recall that what we did here was we set a movement route. So we'll go to set movement route. Make sure that it's set to this event, or else you'll be turning yourself around. And then we switched off direction fix. We went from we're facing down to start off with. So the first thing we did was turn left. Then we waited for short duration, we turn right, waited for another short duration, and then we can turn up just to complete the circle. That's actually not necessary, but we'll just put it in anyway. Okay, we'll wait for completion here because we don't want the character moving around while this is all happening. After we do that, we can then say something like, you found 500 /G is the symbol to show the symbol for whatever the currency is in the game. And then we can control switch. It doesn't really matter which order you put this, control the self switch. Okay. Now, when we do the self switch, we want to change to event page, self switch A, and we want to set the image to be the chest image that we just used, but it's going to be the open one. So that will be closed, and that will be open. And of course we want to make sure that we add in the item, so we didn't actually change gold here, so we'll just set this to 500, click OK, and OK. Let's test it out. So if everything's working correctly, then it should show our animation. There you go, we found 500G, and our chest works exactly as, and now we have 1000 gold. Perfect. Of course, our chest or our whatever it is doesn't have to give gold. We can change that. So for example, we could just delete this. Let's say you found something else that's in the database. And let's go and have a look in the database. So we could find some items. So for example, we could find a potion. Okay, add one potion. You found a potion. I might change that to a health potion because that's what it looks like. Okay, and just going to update my database because, to be honest, I think that that item should definitely be a potion. So potion should be a health potion. Health potion. Excellent. So let's just quickly test it out and see if it's all working. Go here. You found a health potion. Check our items, and there's a health potion. Perfect. So there you go, we've got some custom chests. Now you can change the color of any of these chests. So for example, if you wanted a yellow one, you could have a yellow one. You can have a green one, etc. They might have different meanings. All effectively the same. They'll work like a chest. What if we want to set up a different custom item and just have that as a pickup? If you remember from level 1, we were actually able to pick up a little shiny object, and that gave us some coins. So to set up a custom item, double click to set a new event, and you can choose anything that you can find in these image sets. Now in the next level we'll look at how to add new images, but for now let's just say, okay, tile set B for example, there's a little patch of gold. Okay, we can do exactly the same thing as we did for the chest effectively without the animation. So we just set up to give you 500G, you found 500G, then it plays the sound effect after you see the message. So let's just see the effect of that. Go here, and there's the sound effect. There's our 500G. Perfect. Okay, now what if you want to add something that's not in the database? Well, just the same as usual, you go to database, items, you might put in a crystal for example here. Okay, give it an icon, we'll find a crystal icon. Okay, over here. And we'd say it's not consumable, in this case none, never, and it's just a regular item. Okay, we'll click OK. And then you might have, okay, you can double click and you can find an image for a crystal. So there's some lovely crystals here. You might choose this one. Click OK. Now in this case what we can do is we can set it to stepping, and you'll see what the effect of that is shortly. We will change items, etc. Okay, so we've chosen the image, we've got the you found a crystal, +1 crystal, we'll play a sound effect, and then we'll activate the self switch so the crystal disappears. There you go. Just know that when you pick up the crystal, you actually, if you check your inventory, you can see it's there, but you can't do anything with it, and that is because it doesn't have any application. In future levels we'll look at how to create a crafting system where you might do things like applying crystals to your crafting, say, a magical item, for example. But for now we'll just continue with the basics. So there is another way obviously to get treasure, which is from monsters. So for example you could create an event, monster bats, and you might say, okay, let's create a battle processing, and we'll call some bats. Okay, and then we're going to just check to see what the bats drop. So under database enemies, bat, you can see that they drop items. In this case they have a 1 in 5 chance of dropping a health potion. If you want bats to have a chance of dropping something else, you could get them to drop weapons. For example, they could drop a short sword, or they could drop armor. They might drop some leather armor, who knows. And same again, you just set the probability 1 in 3, for example. Now if we go to troops, what we can do is we can set conditions turn 0, change enemy state, entire troop, and in this case it would be dead or knockout was the default in the vanilla version. This is with our expanded database, and so that means that we can actually cheat and just start off by knocking them out. So I'll just put this over here so we can test this out. So when we hit play, we start, we win, and we didn't drop anything. Okay, we found a short sword. Because it's probability based, they don't always drop anything. And in this case, we got lucky. Alright, so now to disable the bat from fighting endlessly, you just set Control Switch A on and add a second page, just as for every other event type. And over here we could, for example, set up a slime, and we can just change the battle processing to some slime. In our database we can go and check what our slime drops, and they drop a health potion as well. Okay, maybe they can drop a crystal every time, and maybe they drop dispel, magic water, and that might be every second time. Okay, and just set our starting position over here, and then we can just change our troops, or our encounter as I like to think of it once again, and we can set this so that on turn 0 we change the enemy state, entire troop, add state, dead. Let's test it. So we got our crystal and our potion. Perfect. So just one more thing here. Obviously with these drops at the moment, it is just based on the drops from the bats, but you can of course manually add drops in here, so you can say, for example, just change items, choose whatever it is that you want, and then say you found a potion. And that's exactly the same as if you had picked up the item. So basically, once you fight the bat, you win, you'll then find a health potion automatically. So this is a way to set up event-specific drops that you can then find treasure. Could be a special key, could be something that helps you to complete a quest, for example. So one thing to note is that the database default enemy drops are most commonly used in, for example, if you had, say, the Lost Forest, and you press space here, you can edit the encounters, and double-click there, and this would be where you would add random encounters that would pop up if every X number of encounter steps. And so if this is empty, you can walk around this map and you'll never have a random encounter. But if you filled in some encounters here, then you can see that when you do your as you go through your encounter steps, you will come across these kind of creatures on average every 120 steps. Now let's have a look at this and see. Well, so there's all these different options here, spiders and snakes and things like that. If we try to create an event that uses the snake image, for example, there's nature, no, monster, okay, there's no snakes, evil, there's no snakes. And so this is actually a limitation of the default character sets that come with the vanilla version, is that we only have a limited amount of monsters. You can go online and you can find the missing monsters, mostly on the RPGMaker web site, and we'll actually look at how to do that in future levels. But for now, you're limited to the monsters that are here, basically. So you've got a bat, slime, orc, minotaur, an imp, a skeleton, some kind of ghouly thing, and another thing that might be I don't know what that is. Maybe no, I'm not sure. Can't figure it out. So coming back here to the Lost Forest, we can see that in this case we've got weightings. So you might have a weight of, for example, that might have a weight of 10, and it's kind of nice to do these as give yourself a percentage. So maybe this is 25, maybe that's 25, and maybe the spider is so 25, and then snakes could be 20, and imps could be 5. So that's 25%, 25%, 20%, and 5% if you add it all up to 100. Otherwise it's kind of calculated on a weighted average. And sorry for the rest, the reason why I'm glossing over this is because we actually did cover all of this in level 1. So if you're not really sure what all of this means, go back and run through level 1 again and get a little refresher. Okay, so if I just want to test this, I'll just temporarily set this encounter steps to something very low, like 30. And so what that means is that when we press play, every 30 steps, roughly speaking, we should have an encounter. There we go. There's an encounter, and here's some imps. Now that was a 5% chance, I believe. So let's just have another go at that. And I might be the other way around, but we'll see. Yeah, okay, so what we should find is that the encounters are roughly weighted like this. And you will note that, as I mentioned, the imps, we don't have, I don't think that there's oh yeah, there is an imp, but some of the other monsters, you don't have the option to put them out on the map. So putting them in the encounters list here, so for example a bandit, we don't really have demon plants, killer rats. Okay, so rats we definitely don't have as an option if we just wanted to set them up as an event. Just at the moment we just simply don't have the rat icon, the rat sprite. So we can go get that in future. Obviously there's a lot more you can do with items, but this tutorial has gone on for long enough, so we'll wrap it up here, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider smashing those like and subscribe buttons, as they do help with the algorithm. Now it's your turn to go make a game. See you in the next one!